is the Big O Show.
All right. There he is. The man that misses Deshaun Watson coming to Miami.
Chill out immediately. We're gonna restart that intro.
No, you.
Something about the Edge energy drink.
Don't you want mama here so you can write about it every day?
Smooth. So like,
Don't you want to write about all that? Come on. You know you want to write about all that drama.
We're not gonna start my segment off like that. I can promise you. You got me worked up, bro. You about to put me back on the ICU.
That's my job here, is to get you a little worked up here. You know, that's kind of the idea there. Do you know anybody, by the way? Do you have any friends in Cleveland that have to cover that mess?
Oh yeah, Jake Trotter. I sent him. I think we all owe him a bottle of whiskey at this point. It was so morbid because we had to. First it was. You know, I'm in a group chat with a few other ESPN NFL reporters, and at first it was, sorry, Sarah, sorry, Marcel. And then we were praising Jake. We're like, all right, Jay, you're out. Like, because the Browns were supposed to be out, right? And then all of a sudden, like, it just came together like that. And we're like, never mind, bro. That's awful for you.
Yeah.
I don't want to cover that. I don't want to touch any of that.
No, I was telling Poupart that how grateful you are for that, because when I was on the beat, I had to cover Tony Martin in a money laundering case, and I was 3 days in the courts in Miami, and it was no fun, dude. It sucks, and people are like, "Oh, isn't that cool to be?" And no, dude, I want to cover football. I don't cover this crap, dude. If I wanted to cover news, I would have become a news reporter. I wanted to become a sports talk show host. That's what I want to talk. I want to talk sports. I want to talk about Tony Martin and money laundering and how much.
Yeah, I never really had to deal with.
Oh God.
Never really had to deal with legal drama. I mean, the Panthers. Let me think. The Panthers. Eric Reed. That's how I got my big break into journalism. Was covering Eric Reed's random drug testing, and then man, what was the most dramatic thing that happened with the Bills? Probably just everything about the vaccine. Now they're public.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah. The worst thing was Beasley, right? For you guys.
That was one of the. And I have, look, man. To this day, I have a great relationship with Cole Beasley and his team. Like, I love Cole, man. That was my guy up there. But one of the most surreal moments I have ever experienced in journalism. First day of training camp last year, he sat down. To his credit, he volunteered. He said, like, I'll go first. He sat down and he read a prepared statement for about 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. It's on my Instagram page. And he said, insisted, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. I just want to get this out the way for you guys. And then I'm going to talk about football from here on out. I'm not going to go on Twitter. I'm not going to be distracted. All of this, right? 45 minutes later, he dropped an entire song called Heavy Nuts, in which he basically says, I'm dropping you-know-what on everybody in this world who's trying to tell me what to do. I said, bro, are you nuts, man? Are you kidding me? No pun intended, but like, you just said you're going to stop. You just said you're done with this. And so like at that moment, like my move to Miami was already like in the works. I was like, all right, I'm done with this, man. Like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this for a full season. And the Bills, they had somebody new on that list every single week, man. Every single week, the Bills had somebody else on the COVID list. I think they're one of the only teams in the NFL to be like that. So it was just, but nothing, again, nothing like legal, nothing that would require matters of public record and documents and all of this stuff. Like, that's not my forte. And it's not really my forte. I connect with people. That's what I'm good at. But I'd be lying if I said I've had to dive into court documents very often in my career.
No, it's definitely not a lot of fun. Let me ask you, you look at Brian Urlacher's comments. What'd you think of that? Because it's cool to it's I was talking about this with Poupart about this. It's natural for us. Unfortunately, we are programmed this way. We don't give credit to the person that doesn't look prototypical compared to the person that looks prototypical. So she could look, she could be 4'11", and she's a knockout, and she's curvy, and she's beautiful, but then she stands next to Beyonce, and then you say, and she's just as beautiful as Beyonce and just as curvy, but you're going to go, wow, Beyonce, because she's prototypical. She's 5'6", and you look at Brian Urlacher. He's 6'5" and runs like a deer and is built like the prototypical linebacker. And then you look at Zach Thomas, and he's 5'10", and he has a square head, jughead, and he's white and not as fast as some other guys, and not Ray Lewis, and not, some of these other cats that everybody looks at and they say those are more prototypical. And that's why I see a guy like that on the outside looking in. And it's funny because somebody just mentioned that Sam Mills is getting in. Sam Mills retired in 1997. So that means he's probably getting in on some seniors thing, committee thing. And you're talking about a guy in 97. And why? Because he's 5'9" or whatever the hell Sam Mills was. Some really short linebacker. And yet he was a hell of a player. And I think that's what happens in our society, that we tend to give the person that looks prototypical a little more credit than the person that doesn't look prototypical, even though they're as good.
I mean, I suppose so, but I mean, the Hall of Fame is the Hall of Fame at the end of the day. Like, it doesn't really matter what you look like, what you're built like. If you have the merits, more often than not, you're gonna end up where you belong. What's the big?
But not the same way, right? But not the same way, because Urlacher is a first ballot Hall of Famer, yet Zach Thomas is waiting and waiting and waiting, and his stats are better, actually. So it's kind of the weird thing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what's the knock on Zach Thomas besides the build? It's that he played on this, star-studded, full of all-pro defense, I guess. I don't know. I'm just trying to play the devil's advocate there. I think statistically, yeah, he belongs in the Hall of Fame. I don't particularly like Brian Urlacher, the person, but as a player, he was an excellent person. So, like, if he thinks that they should be in, then Zach Thomas should be in. Like, there's a lot of players, though, that should be in the Hall of Fame. And I think, maybe stay with me here because, it's not fun when it happens to you, but hear me out. Maybe that adds to the allure of the Hall of Fame. That makes it that much more special when somebody gets in. If there ain't a list of people on the outside looking in with a lot of everybody saying, why isn't that in? Why didn't they get in? Where's their invite? Then it's not as exclusive as it possibly can be. So I see somebody just commented Steve Tasker not in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I think that is an absolute disgrace. I think that's maybe, and somebody's gonna come in here talking about the Bills, but I think that might be as big, if not a bigger current snub than Zach Thomas is Tasker not getting in. As maybe the greatest.
How can you say that, dude? This is an every down player, bro.
He's the greatest special teams player of all time.
You never put any special teams player in front of an every down player, ever.
Well, clearly neither of them are getting in. So I think it's as big of a snub. I think that special teams deserves its day in the highlight, especially when you make as big of an impact on the game.
By the way, what's Steve Tasker's problem also?
I mean, yeah, he's small, but come on, this isn't the Hall of Very Big. Like, this isn't the Hall of Big Humans. You'd have DJ Raji first ballot.
I'm just telling you what human nature is. It has nothing to do with the Hall of Fame. I'm just telling you what human nature is. Human nature is like that. Human nature, we just don't give the person that doesn't look prototypical the same credit when they deserve the same amount of credit. That's my point right there. Exactly what it is. Zach Thomas was as good or better than Brian Urlacher. He should be in just as fast as Brian Urlacher should have gotten in, but yet he doesn't. Steve Tasker, one of the great special teams players of all time, not getting a sniff. That's because he's not the prototypical player, because he was small. He was an overachiever. Sam Mills, small, overachiever. That's just the way our lives, that's the way we are, bro. We're not going to look at Drew Brees and Peyton Manning the same way. Yet, One wasn't better than the other. Just as
Peyton
good.
Peyton Manning was better than Drew Brees.
There you go. There you go. But what says that? 2 championships to 1? Is that it?
2 championship overall grasp of the game, bigger brand as well. Like I think that Peyton Manning had a bigger impact on the game than
because he has the bigger
Drew
personality, and Drew Brees has none.
But that has nothing to do with his size. That has nothing to do with his size.
You just said bigger brand, bigger name, because
like Michael Vick is going to be Michael Vick should be in the Hall of Fame, and Michael Vick is 5'11", maybe 6 feet tall.
What did you just say? What did you just say?
Michael Vick should be in the Hall of Fame, and we're not going to talk about this. Impact on the game? Yes, absolutely.
What impact on the game? What are you talking about?
He's the running quarterback. He's the mobile quarterback. When you think of quarterbacks that run, you think of one name.
And he wasn't very good. So who cares?
In this world?
In this world, it's not about running. And Lamar Jackson's proving that every single time he gets to the playoffs. It's about being able to win with your arm, dude. Michael Vick in the Hall of Fame? Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?
Big D, that's not what I said. I didn't say Steve Tasker should be in over Zach Thomas. I knew y'all were going to take it some kind of way. Relax.
Actually, you did say that.
I said he's as big of a snub, if not more. I didn't say he should be in here before Zach Thomas should be in here.
You may want to rewind there. Yeah, you did say it, actually. You did say
you rewind. I'll watch the recording.
You watch the recording. You did say he should be over. You did.
Okay. But we're getting off track.
You may want to correct it, okay? But yes, you did say that.
Mike Vick should be in the Hall of Fame. End of story. I'm done reading the comments.
Who's that?
Michael Vick should be in this Hall of Fame.
That you're completely wrong. That we can argue and have some fun with the Steve Tasker one and Zach and all that if you want, because Steve Tasker is a Hall of Famer, but Michael Vick is not a Hall of Famer, bro.
Well, I'm gonna make it my mission now to get a Hall of Fame vote, and Mike Vick is getting in.
No, Mike Vick will never get in.
Impact on the game. I think impact on the game. That's what Hall of Fame is about. That is what it's about.
No, it's not. Nobody gets in for
category.
They get in for being great at their position. He's not great at his position. His position requires for you to be great here.
There is an entire category for players who made an impact on the game. That is how he will get in.
Who?
He will get in.
Who?
What do you mean? Who have we been talking about?
Who is in the Hall of Fame because of the impact they made on the game?
You make me pull up the list of Hall of Famers? Like, I don't know the list of everybody in the Hall of Fame off the top of my head.
Give me one at least. I can give you one actually, but he actually won something that Michael Vick didn't do, and he actually Joe Namath.
All right.
He's not in for stats. Go look at his stats.
He's not in for stats. I don't think Terry Bradshaw's in for stats either.
No. Terry Bradshaw
he's on a great team and won a ton of court.
No.
He's not that great of a quarterback. If we're talking about statistics, even in an era where they didn't throw the ball, like he wasn't that impressive.
I watched Terry Bradshaw. He was a good quarterback, bro, and he won 4 Super Bowls. So you got to give a guy that won
with the steel curtain. Yeah, I could have won Super Bowls. Throwing to Lynn Swan.
Yeah, you still have to make the plays, man. You still have to make the plays, and you still have to make the plays.
I would have made the plays.
Yeah. You're dismissing something. That's I always have that issue when somebody didn't live it and watch it like I did, and you can't talk about it the same way, man. It's just not. But on the flip side, what we were talking about before, I mean, you got to give credit where credit is due at times, and that's the problem, that they don't, because of your image, the way you look. I mean,
Terrell Owens missed out on how many years of Hall of Fame voting because of his image, because of his brand, because of people just didn't like him. He wasn't nice to the media for a long time.
But Terrell Owens is a Hall of Famer.
He is a Hall of Famer. Yes.
Yeah, but he was just because you're a first-class asshole doesn't mean you don't belong in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, Terrell Owens was a first-class asshole, and he wasn't a really good teammate. but he was a hell of a player and a great
One of
talent.
the best wide receivers ever to play, without a doubt.
There's no doubt about it. That's why Michael Vick has nowhere to be in that business, because he wasn't ever great at passing the ball. And no one in the Hall of Fame is in because of how they changed the game. The closest is Joe Namath, and that's because he won a championship with the Jets. He helped bring the merger of the AFL and the NFL, because the AFL outpaid the NFL for his rights, and then they started stealing players from the NFL, and that brought the NFL to its knees. And the Joe Namath move was the thing that triggered everything in all of that. So he had an impact that was a little different because it was merging two leagues, together. So that I can tell you, okay, there was a little bit of greatness in the player and talent, and then also his impact on what he did at that moment in the 60s. But that was a fragile moment for the sport at that time.
I think that while there were obviously, Randall Cunningham, Warren Moon, John Ella, there were mobile quarterbacks before Michael Vick entered the league, but Michael Vick changed how the position can be played. I think if Michael Vick was in this era, that we would be looking at him in a little different light than we were as the unicorn in the early 2000s. I think he's more fit.
You can't pass, you can't pass, my brother. If you can't pass, you can't pass. Nothing's gonna change.
I think Lamar's a better passer than Michael Vick, but he was such an elite runner. Like, I think that we get way too caught up in that conversation of, well, he can't pass. I don't really care. Like, if you make an impact on the game, if you are so prolific of a runner that you don't have to be a pinpoint passer, you don't have to be Peyton Manning. I don't give a shit if you're Peyton Manning.
But you're not a quarterback.
If you break 7 tackles on one play and get 15 yards when you try to scramble, like,
you're not a quarterback.
Who cares?
You're a running back playing quarterback. Then that's what you are.
So we're gonna discount running backs who are great receivers.
No,
because they're not as good between the tackles. Like, you stretch the limit of what the position asks you to.
By the way, a receiving running back does not usually get into the Hall of Fame ever, because a receiving running back is not going to get enough yards to get into the Hall of Fame. So that's usually what happens. When you're a receiving running back, it's because you're not a good enough running back, period. You know what I mean? That's why they've got you doing that. That's why you're Patrick Laird, because you can't run the ball. So the only thing they can use.
I don't think we're not going to talk about Patrick Laird in the same breath as like a Marcel.
What do you want me to do? You want me to go to the Detroit kid from a few years back? What's his name? That all he did was catch passes too. And there's been running backs in the history of time that they weren't good enough runners and they used them just as passers. You're not getting in the Hall of Fame like that.
I'm just saying. I think
if you're a quarterback that can't win with your arm, you're not getting in the Hall of Fame.
I don't think that Marcel Falk is as good of a runner as Emmitt Smith, but because Marcel Falk was so electric with the ball in his hands and is so electric as a receiver, then he becomes more of a Hall of Fame back. Like, if you can do multiple things well, then it doesn't matter if you can't do the primary thing that your position asks you to do, as not can't do, but it doesn't matter to me as much if you aren't as good as some other players. Like, again, I think we get too wrapped up.
By the way, I disagree with you completely. Marcel Falk.
You don't move the ball.
Marcel Falk was a better runner than Emmitt Smith. Marcel Falk was a better receiver than Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith had the better team and the better line. He was a great running back, whether it's Escambia High, whether it's Florida, whether it's Dallas. It didn't matter where he dominated. He was a running back.
We're gonna forget about the greatest show on turf.
Marcel Falk is one of the greatest running backs of all time.
Yeah, he is great. I'm just saying, I don't think he, as a pure runner, if you're just going to say, all right, we're going with pure running backs, pure runners, I don't think he's Barry Sanders. I don't think he's Emmitt Smith, but their ability to catch the ball and move outside with the ball, there are better runners than Marcel Falk, but his ability as a receiver adds to his Hall of Fame resume. Like, I just don't.
They're all Hall of Famers. They're all Hall of Famers, but as runners,
I just don't think we can discount. I don't think we can discount Lamar Jackson's skill. I'm not saying Lamar's a Hall of Famer, but it adds in the conversation. I don't think we discount Lamar's skill. I don't think we can discount Michael Vick's skill as a runner just because they aren't as prolific of a passer. I think that I don't think it's very. I think we get too wrapped up. These guys have to sit in the pocket and throw the ball.
I don't discount Randall Cunningham's talent either, but he's not a Hall of Famer. That's all. There's nothing wrong with any of that. By the way, Barry the runner, Marshall the runner, then Emmett the runner. Emmett just had the better team than those guys, so he was able to accomplish more than those guys. But
definitely had a better team than Barry. I don't think he had a better team. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. Yeah, he had a better team than Marshall. Marshall had a better team for a window. For a short window, he had a great offense.
That window, that was one of the best offenses in NFL history.
Yeah. But the Rams never had the defense that the Dallas Cowboys had ever. Not even close. It's not even close to that defense was a Hall of Fame type defense, period, that the Dallas Cowboys had. Emmitt Smith was surrounded by a great, great team. Marshall Faulk was just a great, great player. And Barry Sanders had nothing. He had a moment where he had a nice offense for a couple of years, but overall, that guy was.
The Lions were the Lions at the end of the day. Like, there are certain organizations, it really don't matter the players that you have. It doesn't matter the talent that you have. Your organization is just going to be itself at the end of the day. Yeah. Detroit is the poster child for that.
Yep.
Cleveland, right in there.
What are you working on ESPN, or are you off this week?
I think I'm just coming off of COVID IR any day now, and perfect timing because there's nothing really to do. But no, this is feature heavy time of the year. Obviously, speculation season's kind of high. We're probably going to see a ridiculous argument or two over the course of the next month. Don't overreact to things that you see on Twitter. Don't listen when people say the Jets are secretly going to be the second best team in the AFC East or something like that. Like, something crazy.
And just don't say Michael Vick's going in the Hall of Fame either. How about that?
I think Mike Vick's a Hall of Famer. We're going to call this a difference of opinion. That's that.
We're going
to call it a difference of opinion.
I'm going to say you're out of your effing mind is what I'm going to say.
No, okay? I'm sorry for thinking outside the box here, but I view the game a little differently.
Yeah. He's in the CFL Hall of Fame. That's how outside the box you're thinking.
All right. Yeah, you thought I think you think the CFL is a little different than it actually is, man. You're over here talking about Colin Kaepernick should be in the CFL.
He should have gone over there. He quit. He's a quitter.
He wanted a paycheck. He should have gone over there. It wasn't about the paycheck.
If he wants to be a quarterback like Jeff Garcia, like Joe Theismann, like Warren Moon, they all went to the CFL and showed the NFL that we can play. And if he would have left right away to the CFL and balled out, half the league would have been crying to their owners and their GMs and saying, "Go sign that guy because he's kicking ass." And
it's a different era. Jeff Garcia and Warren Moon, especially, different era where there weren't as many ways for those guys to make money as there are for Colin Kaepernick.
They just gave a guy $200 million guaranteed who could be an alleged rapist. If he goes and kicks ass in the CFL, they somebody signs him, dude.
I'm saying that Garcia and Moon had to go to the CFL because there aren't as many opportunities to make money, which is why I said if he wanted a paycheck, then yeah, sure, Colin could have gone to the CFL, but it wasn't about no paycheck.
Oh, okay. So then you agree with me. He quit. He didn't really want to be a quarterback. He wanted to be, a poster child for a cause.
I think that he, to a certain extent, I did believe that, no, he didn't do everything possible to play in the NFL. That's true. But he did it to prove a point. I think he did it to prove a point. He did it to keep his dignity. He did it because he wanted the NFL to do the right thing, and the NFL wasn't finna do the right thing.
Okay, so then just don't tell me you really want to be a quarterback and give me those.
I'm saying, did he break his back to try to be an NFL quarterback? Probably not. But he wanted the NFL to do the right thing. He did things. He did what he was supposed to do. I don't think he went outside of his way. You know what I mean? Like, I think he just didn't want to do the whole shuck and jive tap dance for the NFL, and I don't blame him for that. But yeah, I can admit that. He wants
the NFL to do the right thing, and meanwhile they're hiding Daniel Snyder.
Hey, I didn't say it was the best play in the world, but I mean, he walks out with his dignity intact. He walks out with a lot of money. He can try it out. Like, I hope he gets signed sometime this year. But no, did he go to the CFL? No. Did he try to play in the AFL or the AAF or the XFL, all of these? No. Did he try to join training camp as a tight end? No, because he knows what he is. Like, he kept his pride. And
Marcel, do you think
that's that.
anybody really is going to sign him? Do you think really they're
No,
going to? The guy hasn't played for
I
5
don't.
years.
I
Nobody
hope.
hasn't prepared
Hey,
for NFL
I
defense.
hope they do, but I know they won't. I hope they do. But I know the NFL at this point. I know the league.
Listen. Forget the politics. Forget about the blackballing. That's already been done. Just on a football side, do you know how incredibly stupid you got to be to sign a guy that's been away from football for 5 years, and all of a sudden you're going to start working him into your offense? Are you out of your mind? You can't put a guy that hasn't been in the league for 5 years, and then all of a sudden you got to throw him there in the middle of the battle, and when your starter goes down and he hasn't done it, that would be incredibly stupid by any team. If you were going to do that, at least if you were going to try it, you would have had to have signed him right when the season ends, so you can have him from the beginning of your offseason program all the way through. The fact that you haven't installed him in your offseason program and now you're going to go to training camp, that tells me all I need to know.
I think it's less likely. It is less likely now than ever that he would be signed by a team. Yeah, I agree there. I think we're past the point of Colin is better than X amount of quarterbacks in the NFL right now. Like in 2018, the man should have been on a team.
Right. And
in 2019, the man should have been on a team. But it has been too long. No, where I was and I support Colin Kaepernick, and I think that he was wronged by the NFL. Like it sucks. It's an awful thing that happened. I think years from now, people are going to look back and say, "Wow!" Like look back and disgust at it. But where I think I realized, I think he wants to play, but it's not like the most important thing in the world to him.
Definitely
is his workout a few years back, where it was going to be in Atlanta, or it was in Atlanta. It was going to be at the Falcons facility. He changed it to the last minute. Only a few teams showed up. And he did this interview afterward that was more of a prepared statement than a press conference, essentially daring NFL teams to sign him. And that's when I knew, okay, like he's not willing to tap dance for a job. Right. And like, if you're willing to tap dance for a job, that means like you are that desperate. And I don't think he was desperate.
Yeah,
that's what I've been trying to say. I don't think he's desperate.
And he's not very bright, because if you think
I'm not going to say he's not very bright.
Oh, no, definitely. He's definitely not very bright, because if you think you can challenge the NFL to sign me, like the NFL needs me. And by the way, he isn't very bright. When he's wearing a Fidel Castro shirt and you're talking about social injustice, well, you better have an education that there's a lot of people being mistreated in the world. Gays, Cubans, North Koreans, Chinese, know what the hell you're wearing. You know what I mean? And so when you're wearing a Fidel Castro shirt, and by the way, I think he actually even backed it up by saying there are some good things he did, or I forgot, I'm paraphrasing or something, which showed his ignorance. And by the way, wearing pig socks also is ignorant. It's not very smart, because we do have a lot of good cops, and what we don't want to do is lump them all the same. We know we got to get rid of the bad ones, but we also know we got a lot of great ones that is.
I'm not gonna dive too far into matters of talking about the police and good ones and bad ones. Only thing I will say is that I think it would be a lot easier on their cause if the good ones called out the bad ones when necessary. I think
and it's also good if you're going to fight for social injustice, be educated and be respectful of others who are suffering all over the world. So if you want people to respect your cause, you better respect others' cause. And by wearing a Fidel Castro shirt, that mother effer will never be able to be accepted here in South Florida, because every Cuban doesn't want any part of Colin Kaepernick. Okay.
It was Castro. Did you wear a Che Guevara shirt?
No, it was Castro and Malcolm X together in the shirt. And I'm sure his dumb ass was like, yeah, Malcolm X. Yeah, all right, great. But dude, did you know the guy that was next to him? It's like, yo, dumbass, you're in South Florida. You're wearing a Castro shirt. What kind of a stupid mother effer are you? Seriously. Like,
like I said, I can't.
It's not very bright, bro. There's nothing bright about that, Marcel. And that's something you and everybody else has to admit. If you're going to talk about social injustice and how people are mistreated, have the respect and understand that we have Hasidic Jews being beaten right now in Brooklyn. And we have Chinese people walking around, Asian people that are being beaten up for no reason at all. And we have gays, people in the gay community that are being mistreated. And we have children, and we have blacks, and we have Latins, and we have all kinds of people that are being mistreated. You better understand and respect that. If you want to respect someone else's cause, you better understand their cause too at the same time. And that's where I lose it with Colin, because for me, he's the worst face for any movement whatsoever. And this movement is so important. You have the wrong guy that is being used as the face for the movement, which is a joke because he's a guy that is so uneducated and doesn't understand what the hell he's representing. So it's a shame. It really is in my eyes. But, what can I tell you?
Yeah, I cannot opine on anything Castro related or anything like that. That's not my experience. That's not my, that's not my background.
You're in the community. Delve into it, baby.
That's not my, I can't speak on things that I know. I won't speak on things that I don't know, because that's my,
you need
not going to turn me into a blog. I promise you that.
A couple of Cuban friends and hang out with them, and you'll feel the pain, and you'll know exactly what they're talking about. So that's why you can't wear a Castro or Che Guevara shirt around a Cuban. I mean,
well, yeah, I'm not.
just, come on, bro. All right. Follow him on Twitter at Marcel_LJ. Catch his work there at ESPN, and catch him twice a week here with some crazy ass things like Michael Vick in the Hall of Fame.
Is Sam Madison a Hall of Famer?
I would put him in the Hall. I got no problem with putting Sam, but I can understand where it's going to take him a while to get in, because he doesn't possess Deion Sanders like numbers, and some of these guys that get in that are like Charles what's the guys from Green Bay, Charles Woodson, guys like that.
Green Bay.
Yeah, Charles Woodson wasn't in Green Bay and the Raiders also, right? Wasn't he there?
I can't believe that you would say
Well,
that's like saying, like Peyton Manning from the Broncos.
I know he was drafted by the Raiders and all that, but I know he played in Green Bay also. So yeah,
I'm a little more offended because I grew up a Raiders fan. But
no, you're right. You should be offended. My apologies. My apologies. He's a Raider. You're right. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm sorry to tell you. And you're wrong about Michael Vick, right?
All right. So, what are you working on this next week?
We'll catch you.
Great weekend.
Yes. Work on a great weekend. Follow him on Twitter, Marcel_LJ. We'll catch you later, my brother. Be good. You got it. There you go. Marcel Louis-Jacques. All right. Quick turnaround. Here we go. David Dwork next.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.